During the season of Lent, we've been focusing on prayer using stories from the Bible and also a book called The Circle Maker by Pastor Mark Batterson. Pastor Mark shares in his book about Ani, a prophet of Israel who lived in the century before Christ was born. There was a terrible drought that threatened to wipe out an entire generation. One day, Ani took his staff and drew a circle around himself. He prayed a strong prayer asking God for rain. The astonishing thing was that he said to God, "I will not move from this circle until the rain comes." After a time, a few drops began to fall. Ani prayed again and asked God for substantial rain, and again God provided the rain so abundantly that the people had to run to high ground to avoid flash floods. It was a miracle, and many people believed more deeply in God after that experience. Pastor Mark covers many aspects of prayer in his book, The Circle Maker. Today, I want to talk briefly about the words God gave the Israelites just after they left Egypt. Hear this part of the story from Exodus chapter 14. The Egyptians chased after them with all the forces in Pharaoh's army, all his horses and chariots, his charioteers, and his troops. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore near Pi-hahiroth, across from Baal-zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and panicked when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. They cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you that this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, 'Leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It is better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness.' But Moses told the people, 'Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm.'" Moses told the people, "Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today." Easier said than done, I'm sure. These days of restriction and quarantine are challenging. The whole experience has raised so many questions for so many people: politicians, doctors, healthcare professionals, teachers, historians, theologians and pastors, business owners, parents, children, families. All are seeking understanding, looking back, looking forward, taking drastic action, waiting for the next action to unfold. Why did this happen, God? Could we somehow change the circumstances? The Israelites couldn't go back to Egypt. We can't go back to a world free of this pandemic. But perhaps we can settle into the promise of God to the Israelites. God's character certainly hasn't changed. Could we hear these words and take them to heart? Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. What does standing still look like for us? I don't think it's literally not moving, although social distancing certainly confines us to mindful space. In this time of closures and separation, we are finding time and space to be. Instead of racing off to work or sporting events or practice or whatever has taken our time and our focus, many people have more time for walks outside, gardening, being with family, taking time to read or do a hobby or clean house or organize. This sounds idyllic. Please know I realize the difficulties and challenges of this time as well. But I have noticed and felt that the world is slowing a bit because we cannot keep up our frenetic pace. People are seeing each other, even from a distance, aware of needs, offering to reach out, to run errands or go shopping or offer food or smiles or encouragement. Would this be happening in the same way if we had not been forced to stand still? Stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. In our community of faith, we practice sharing God sightings along the road. How has God rescued you? What good things have come from this wilderness time? I'm looking at about 20 things on my list already and watching God add more daily. This has been an incredibly difficult time. Like many, I'm longing for it to be over, for things to settle down, to gather again with my whole community of faith, or my clergy colleagues, or my friends, all at the same time, in the same space, to hear laughter and clamor of lots of people eating and talking together. It will be music in a new way. But for now, we stand still and watch. Rescue looks different for different people at different times. Sometimes it looks like peace. Other times it is a change in physical or emotional circumstances, healing, reconciliation. God knows what each of us needs to be rescued today, right now. Stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. Amen.